it's cup check time. If you don't know me, hi, I'm Steve Dangle. I usually make a video after every Leafs game. To all the Bruins fans, welcome back. So nice of you to actually win a game one this time. I can't even chirp. That didn't make me feel better, it just made me feel sad. But Bruins fans, Blues fans, whoever happens to be watching, this is my second year of cup check, where I will make a video after every game of the Stanley Cup final. Last year I did it for Vegas and Washington, like we all expected. This year it's the Bruins and Blues. So what happened? Let's talk about it. Before the game, can you tell Boston's fired up? Tom Brady and Zdeno Chara with the hype up video. Lil Nas X getting everyone to go ballistic with that song I'm sure none of you have ever heard before. I know this might sound a little strange for a Leafs fan to say, but dude, you gotta go see a game in Boston. I've seen the Leafs win in Boston, I've seen the Leafs lose in Boston, I've seen a Red Sox game. It was all just fun. Yeah, they got some idiots, but when you find the perfect fan base, you let me know. I'm excited to see what the Blues do for the Stanley Cup Finals when they have their home games, but check this out. All full-time staff of the St. Louis Blues were surprised with a trip to the game. Obviously, the players on the ice are the ones who bring in the big dough, but if you've ever worked for a sports team, you know that all the full-time staff around the team are the ones that make the world go round. What's that word everyone overuses, and I'm pretty sure we don't even know the meaning of it anymore? Oh, class! Heading into this series, before even game one, here's how I thought it was gonna go. The Blues with a 5-day layoff, the Bruins with 11. I practically forgot the Stanley Cup Finals were happening. They're obviously two incredibly good teams, and they're gonna be very fresh, but I think they're gonna be sloppy out of the gate. That's what I thought. And my final prediction was the Bruins will win. I think on the podcast I said in 7. So, how did this game start? Not exactly an ideal start for the Bruins. I said it was gonna be sloppy. 3.5 minutes in, Sean Kuraly tripping penalty on Brayden Schenn, and the Bruins managed to kill that off, but only a few minutes later, a breakdown. Brayden Schenn puts it on net, the Bruins get possession of the rebound, but they can't clear it. Another shot, another rebound, Brayden Schenn gets it again, and he snipes it onto Karask, 1-0 for the Blues. And the Blues would take that 1-0 lead into first intermission. And then first minute of the second period, David Pastrnak just taking the puck behind the net, everything's fine! And now he'll just casually break the puck out. What are you doing? Just gives it right away to Brayden Schenn, throws it in front for Vladimir Tarasenko, who snipes it, and the Blues are up 2-0 that early. So, alright, slow down. What do we have here? I think there's a big difference between your team playing bad and your team having brain farts. I think your team can be playing very well and just have a brain fart that ruins it all. Despite the fact that they were down 1-0 when this happened and 2-0 afterward, I think the Bruins were actually doing well. Because what did we say right off the hop? The Bruins with that long layoff, the first period's gonna be sloppy. And with all that rest, they've got all this juice in their legs, they're gonna be able to go. I think they actually kept it slow out of the gate on purpose. Shots were only 8-8 after the first. You're both on pace for 24 shots. That's nothing. And you look at the two Blues goals, there was one breakdown, and it was the perfection line that it happened against. That wasn't good. And a brutal giveaway from Pastrnak that I'm going to go out on a limb and say he's not going to do that again. And again, the perfection line of Pastrnak, Marchand, and Bergeron on the ice. But when they weren't having a complete brain fart, the Bruins were limiting the Blues shots on goal. That was only their 9th. The Bruins top line has been scored against before. The Leafs actually did a very good job against them in round 1. What happened? They eventually figured it out. They eventually got better. And in the first period, the Bruins were actually able to draw 2 penalties out of the Blues, and the Blues did kill both. But despite the fact that the Blues were up 2-0 on the Bruins actually kept it a low event game early on, especially at even strength, and they managed to even draw a couple penalties. As long as they don't just go giving the puck away again, and they manage to get to Jordan Binnington, there's lots of time left in this game on home ice. Sure enough, a little over a minute later, Sean Kuraly beaming into the Blues zone. And Robert Bortuzzo and Carl Gunnarsson, didn't it look like they were surprised? And while that pairing is in oh my god mode, Connor Clifton crashes the net. Kuraly throws it over off of Clifton and in beats Binnington, and all of a sudden the Bruins are back within 1. And now the Blues start to crack. A few minutes later, Joel Edmondson high sticking on David Backes. You can't do that. The Blues kill it off. 5.5 minutes after that, Oscar Sundqvist cross-checking on Connor Clifton. You can't do that. And now the Blues have taken 4 straight penalties. Now the Blues are playing with fire, but they're doing everything in their power to kill off this power play. Bruins are getting their chances, diving all over the place. They're blocking it, diving to swat the puck out of the zone to get a change. The Blues pull it off. Less than 30 seconds to go in this power play, and they cleared the zone. They got this. Charlie McAvoy carries the puck in while the Blues are changing, but still, they got 2 guys on McAvoy. Everything's going to be fine. They got numbers. Charlie McAvoy shoots, scores! And that's a killer. Forget the fact that the Bruins tied the game. That's obvious. The Blues penalty kill that was forced into this situation 4 times early on was doing such a good job of holding the Bruins at bay. You just pull off a key part of the kill, the Bruins take it right back in, and all it takes is a wrist shot. I want to say Binnington should have had it, but it looked like maybe Alex Pietrangelo or Colton Parayko, one of them got a piece of it with their stick and it changed the path. And what did I just say? Bruins, a little sloppy early on, but they pulled it together. They get what they want, and now a 2-0 deficit has turned into a 2-2 tie, and the game's not even half over. And the Blues might have been happy just to leave the second period with a 2-2 tie because the Bruins outshot them 18-3 in the second period. And the Bruins are dancing. Brad Marchand doing that spinorama thing that he does all the time now. Seriously, he does that like once a game. Will the Blues look better in the third? Around 5 minutes into the period, the Bruins get a bit of a flurry. The Blues have a chance to clear it. Chara pinches and keeps it in. Gunnarsson and Edmondson are forced into a panic. Acciari and Kuraly go to work. Acciari over to Kuraly, who bangs it in. What a game that guy had. What a game that line had. And it's a 3-2 Bruins lead. Now the Blues are in this slow, agonizing free fall. How are they going to get out of it? Sometimes you need a little bit of a break. David Krejci takes a penalty for an illegal check to the head on Sammy Blais. Now, of all the screaming that's been done about the Boston Bruins throughout these playoffs when it comes to officiating, that is not a penalty. I think it's just proof that the officiating isn't biased. It's just bad. I know it sounds ridiculous to say Blais just fell into Krejci, but he did. But if you're the Blues, you don't worry about the how. It just got filled in 18-3 in the second, and you choked on a 2-0 lead. You have to make something out of this power play, and they don't. Bruins kill it off. It's huge. And St. Louis blew it. This was your shot. I know there's still lots of time left, but is there? The Bruins were giving up so little to St. Louis in this one. You got to take advantage of your opportunities, and they just weren't able to do it. And then sure enough, as the third progresses, gets later and later, it's Sammy Blais who ends up taking a penalty for the Blues. They're 5th. And even though the Blues managed to hold the Bruins at bay, it killed off such precious time for St. Louis. All of a sudden, you've got that thing killed off. You've got less than 5 minutes to tie this thing up. Zdeno Chara blocking a shot with his forearm, exposed skin, blood. Tuukka Rask shuts the door the rest of the way, and through blood and sweat, the Bruins prevent tears. They take Game 1 of the 2019 Stanley Cup Final and are just 3 wins away. The difference was pretty clear. The penalties. The Bruins outshot the Blues 38-20 in this one, but they outshot them 10-2 on the power play. That, to me, was the biggest key. Yeah, the Bruins still outshot the Blues at 5-on-5, but when you take 5 penalties, it just bleeds into everything. The Blues rode the heck out of 3 guys on defense. Parayko 26 minutes, Pietrangelo 25 minutes, and Bouwmeester 24. Their offense? None of their forwards were able to get over 20 minutes. Ryan O'Reilly got 19.55. Jaden Schwartz was over 18. That's it. They had 2 guys over 18 minutes. Taking that many penalties screws up your entire game plan. Now, the biggest thing that I saw complained about on Twitter coming out of this game was not necessarily the amount of penalties. I guess it was people fishing for, okay, the Blues have taken this many penalties. What can we call against the Bruins? And most people pointed to Torrey Krug's charge on Robert Thomas. I like this comment. Torrey Krug delivered a bigger hit to Rob Thomas than Carlos Santana did. You see, kids, back in the day there was the song, never mind. Now, despite how epic the hit was, because Torrey Krug had his helmet ripped off by David Perron, Flo waving in the wind, and then rah! A charge. This tweet is pretty much how I saw it. The optics are bad because Krug sped through the neutral zone at 901 kilometers an hour, but he did not charge, did not target the head, did not leave his feet until he made contact, and the laws of physics forced him to do so. That's a clean hit. And if we're gonna play this game, alright, call that one a 2-minute minor. Alright, fine. Take away the penalty to Krejci. Because Krug's hit might have been a charge. Krejci's was not a hit to the head. It just wasn't. He fell into his arm. And Blues fans, if I were you, take it from me, just try to enjoy the series. If you spend the entire series complaining about calls with Boston, you'll enjoy it a lot less. Steve, you're one to talk. I am one to talk. Wouldn't I know? Do you think I enjoyed my experience? The Blues took 5 penalties. They got outshot 18-3 in the second period. Maybe focus on not doing that. I guess the good news coming out of this is I don't think the Blues could have played much worse. And they still only lost by 1 goal if you don't include the Brad Marchand empty netter, which obviously it was a 4-2 game. It was a pretty bad road game, and you still almost came away with it. Jordan Binnington's playing very well. You have 3 defenders who are playing really well, for sure. Just stay out of the box, and you just might take home ice advantage from these guys. Questions. With video review becoming the new norm, do you see the NHL following the NBA? Decisions in the closing minutes of games are always video reviewed for accuracy. Soccer, video assisted refereeing for penalty decisions that happen close to the goal, or doing something other silly. Doing some other silly thing. Thank you, Dan. Okay, I don't watch that much soccer, but I've been watching the Raptors very closely. And the final, 2 minutes of a basketball game takes forever anyway. But what's impressed me so much about the review, and players are always calling for the review, is how quick the review is. To me, I think there should be more scenarios that should be reviewable. Take, for example, the Panarin goal in the Boston-Columbus series that clearly hit the mesh and then dropped back into play. That's easily reviewable. You just look at the thing and, oh look, it hit the mesh, no goal. The problem is that NHL reviews take so bloody long, and I don't know why. So if there are more things that can be reviewed, but you review them quicker, I'm for that. Which of course would be the smart thing to do. My answer is they'll do some other silly thing, because it's the NHL. They don't have it figured out, dude. Did you enjoy watching Boston win? Yes, I did, actually. I watched the game from my comfy couch located inside your head. What would you do if Brad Marchand brought the cup to Toronto in the ultimate troll move? Damn, at least someone's bringing the cup to Toronto. See, when Phil Kessel did it, it was sweet, because he played for the Leafs for a long time, and he brought the cup, I think it was to a children's hospital. What a great guy. But if Brad Marchand brought it to Toronto and just hung out of a stretch limo hey, I'd almost have to respect it. How much do you want to see ex-Leafs Steen, Bozak, and Gunnarsson hoist the cup? Truth be told, I don't care. I don't know those guys. They're not my buddies. They don't play for the team I cheer for. But you know what? Over the course of a series, I find during the Stanley Cup final, a team emerges as my favorite, or sometimes players emerge as my favorite. I'm sure if I watch long enough, I'll be rooting for certain guys to win it. So that is it for this one. Thank you very much for watching. Let me know what you thought in the comment box down below, and I'll try to improve for Game 2, just like the St. Louis Blues. Click like if you like this video. Click subscribe if you really liked it. Tell all your friends to check their cup.